megawatt power plant commissioned in Regina. Massive outreach held in Region 10, and newly appointed and reassigned ministers sworn in. These and other stories in this week's InfoHub recap, where we highlight the main stories carried from April 29 to May 3.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
The coalition government continues to deliver on its promise of a good life for all and recently commissioned a 5.4 megawatt power plant in Regina, elevating the standard of living of residents in Essequibo who were neglected for years under the previous administration.
InfoHub is here on the Essequibo coast to speak with residents that would have been plagued by constant power outages. On Saturday, a 5.4 megawatt power station was commissioned in Regina to boost the electricity grid of Essequibo.
All these appliances and stuff, people think it's damaging and things, so, I think it would be a great help, man.
In the past, we did getting frequent blackout. People getting their fridge damaged, the chicken damaged because they got them in the fridge. Right now, the power plant will benefit the people in the community and on the whole coast.
Usually we will buy stuff, pack it up in the fridge for weeks of blackout, just a few hours, it will spoil, so people will spend less. So this is a really, really wonderful initiative, and we are so appreciative of it.
At the commissioning of the power plant, Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson said it is equipped with 3 standby containerized cat sets with a generation power of 5 megawatts.
You're probably better off than, well, you are better off than Demerara because you have about 100% redundancy.
Prime Minister Moses Nagamoto delivered the feature address.
All of these things are important for Guyana, the uniform supply of electricity. All these things are coming to you from a government that has promised you to deliver.
Reported from the Regina power plant with videographer Leon Leung, Shaquille Bourne for InfoHub.
Guyana's first Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, EITI's annual report, has been submitted to the International Secretariat on the submission deadline of April 29, 2019.
I am pleased this afternoon to receive the report. The report having been completed in time for the deadline of the 25th of April. Yes.
It's a milestone for this country as it seeks to become a fully compliant member of the Norway-based transparency body.
For a country like Guyana, where the bedrock of our economy is the extractive industries, gold, diamonds, bauxite, forests, this is very important. And as I said in 2015, when this government came into office, we recognized that the process had started. It seemed a bit sluggish, but we recommitted and energized it, and have been working assiduously since. And we chose to have a tripartite form of governance, that is, that both the industry as well as civil society would all have equity or parity or equal status on the multi-stakeholder group.
According to Minister Trotman, the report now tells the government where it stands, what needs changing and implementing.
It starts to paint a picture of where things are. And so now that we're coming into a new regime, we see where the gaps are, and so as we progress as a nation, we can fill those. And so your first report is actually meant to be a very frank and stark report on where you're not.
Guyana became an EITI candidate country in 2017. Along with my videographer Leon Liang, Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
The government regrets the interpretation given to the motion passed in the National Assembly on April 26 on the death of Abdul Qadir, a former member of Parliament. In a release on Monday, the government asserted that it had no intention of conveying the impression that the motion was designed to honor a former MP convicted of terrorism in another jurisdiction. The release further clarified that the motion recognizes the member's service as a parliamentarian, as there is a time-honored convention of the House to observe in a standard and solemn form the work of former members who are now deceased. The observance of this tradition has never been selective and has included, over the decades, persons of all political parties and persuasions who served in the National Assembly. The government has reminded that it continues to condemn terrorism in the strongest possible way and reaffirms its commitment to continue to intensify its fight against the act in any form. Newly assigned minister within the Ministry of the Presidency with responsibility for youth affairs, Simona Brooms is hitting the ground running and wasting little time in ensuring the active participation and engagement of the nation's youth at every level.
Minister Brooms spoke with InfoHub on the sidelines of the Government Comes to You outreach hosted on Sunday in Region 3.
I look forward today in observing and listening in a lot because within the 10 administrative region, equality is one of the things that His Excellency speaks to in terms of the youths of Guyana.
The minister emphasized that in all 10 administrative regions, the 3 pillars, equality, education and employment, will be established and promoted.
So Region 3 definitely will benefit equally like any other part of Guyana.
According to UNICEF, young people between the ages of 15 to 21 represent almost 21% of Guyana's population. Government's national youth policy, which is rooted in the country's constitution, highlights a number of objectives. Some of these include improving social, cultural and emotional skills of youths, producing a productive and enterprising youth workforce, developing quality education and market-oriented skills, encouraging leadership, participation and representation, and promoting good health, security and safety. The document will be subjected to reviews and updated as necessary every 5 years or earlier. In addition, priority areas such as empowerment, education, skills development, employment, entrepreneurship, safety, health, political participation and representation will be addressed. Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
Local democratic organs benefit from a 2-day training session on financial management sponsored by the Ministry of Communities.
The session was opened on Monday at the Arthur Chung Convention Center by Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkin. Mayors, town clerks and councillors from municipalities across the country gathered to participate in the workshop. Linden Mayor Wanika Arundel said every municipality must take responsibility for the effective use of all financial resources.
It is on this premise that I am overjoyed to see the ministry continue dedication to making sure that the aspect of financial management is dealt with holistically.
Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkin reminded that the coalition government has delivered on its promise of ensuring local democracy. He said public officials tasked with the management of public funds cannot adopt an attitude of wastage.
The law, therefore, imposes on public officials what is called a fiduciary duty, which is a legal obligation to act in the best interest of another, in your case, the ratepayers.
The minister said the government aims to institute a standardized system of financial management across municipalities. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
A massive Government Comes to You outreach was held at the Wismar Market Square, Linden, Region 10 on April 30. The government also took the opportunity to host its 3rd meeting of the Cabinet for 2019 at Hutuka House. Felicia Valenzuela spoke to some of the ministers as they were heading into the meeting.
Government services come to the people of Region 10. But for another reason, the occasion is historic. Cabinet is being held here by the coalition government for the first time at Whitaker House. Just before the meeting, we spoke with a number of ministers.
First and foremost, I'm pleased to be here in Linden again. I'm always happy for the opportunity to get out of the office and get out of Georgetown, to visit communities, to visit people in their communities, mainly to have an opportunity to interact with persons, not to tell them what the government is doing for all Guyanese, but to afford them the opportunity to hear from them what more they think that government can and should be doing.
Well, I can tell you that we at the ministry prepared for a full and heavy day. This is the region that, of course, has mining within it, bauxite mining. There's a lot of forest activity in Region 10. I recently was able to bring some relief to forest producers in ITI and Kokwani. There are issues of the road between Linden and Kokwani that I'm sure are going to come up, and for high praise because I traveled the road last week and it has never been in such a good state.
In Region 10, I have been having discussions with German Figuera, our MP, and a lot of young people, because I'd started some work in Linden. Fortunately, with the youth, you would have remembered when they had the graduation of the sixth form and so forth. And so I'm right at this time getting all the information in terms of how many training was done in Region 10, what type of training, what are the youth groups and so forth. So all the youth groups around the country, and in Region 10, because I'm here, I want to speak to Region 10.
I would really like the benefits of this outreach here to spread right across. The good thing about Region 10 is that it covers all the three counties, that is Essequibo, Demerara, and Borvis. And I would really like for the benefits to spread to all of Guyana in the first place, but particularly the three different counties.
Region 10 was awaiting such an exercise, and this is an opportunity for the people of Region 10, more particularly Linden. And I know that we'll have from ITI and Kokwani to come to have their issues resolved, to meet ministers in person.
We also spoke with MP German Figuera from Region 10, who of course is elated to have not only the outreach but cabinet held in his region.
I think this is a very historic occasion for us here in the community, in the mining town, where we're actually having the cabinet meeting being held at this historic Whitaker Club Heritage House. And we in the community are very happy that the president has taken the initiative to not only bring cabinet to Linden, but more so the aggressive approach he has taken with regards to ensuring that government services are being delivered all across the nation, and more so the people are having an opportunity to really feel the government directly in their home communities. And we're very much happy that all of the different services, we have over 19 agencies at the Mackenzie, opposite the Mackenzie market.
From the historic Whitaker House in Region 10, Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
Meanwhile, over at the Wismar Market Square, representatives from over 22 government departments and ministries were in attendance to address the concerns of Region 10 residents.
The weather was favorable on Tuesday as hundreds of residents turned out at the Wismar Market Square, where representatives from over 20 government agencies and ministries were present and ready to assist them with their concerns. As the event got underway, InfoHub spoke with some residents who expressed confidence in the government and lauded them for taking care of its people.
I feel pleased that the government come, and I know that we should, as Lindeners, supposed to take full advantage on whatever service is here.
Very good. Can't complain.
Yeah, it is a very good initiative.
Basically, this is something that we were waiting for a very long time because, you know, we have a lot of issues in Linden, and seeing that the entire government is here with us today, well, we feel a bit comfortable because we know our answers will be answered. It might not be right away, but we are certain, according to what our president said earlier, that he's willing to answer our questions.
Okay, I feel excited and thankful that they finally decided to come here to get to meet the people of Linden. to find out our concerns.
I think it's a great help to people, right? Because a lot of people in this area here need land and houses. So what the government doing is very helpful.
This is the 7th in a series of successful government comes to you outreaches the administration has been conducting across the country. It continues to demonstrate its commitment to providing the good life for all Guyanese by ensuring that their needs are met. Reporting from the Wismar Market Square with senior videographer Tejpal Brijmohan and Narakan for InfoHub. Great news for the mining tongue as Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu had the distinct privilege of commissioning the Linden Broadcasting Network.
Today was a historic day for Lindeners as Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, who has responsibility for the public information sector, officially handed over the Linden Broadcasting Network.
The vision came back when the coalition took office, and immediately a promise was made that the facilities that were operated here by the foreign bauxite companies had belonged actually to the people of Linden and Region 10. The legal instruments are in our hands, so we are prepared now to hand this over to the board so that they can then have television, Channel 13, dedicated to your facility. NCN will still broadcast. There's another transmitter here. But we commit ourselves to hand over the building, to hand over equipment, and to help support the staff while you're in transition, to train the staff and continue to do so.
Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, during the commissioning of the Linden Broadcasting Network, announced that former Minister of State Joseph Harmon is now Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency. After a long wait of 7 years for the issuance of the television station license for the Linden Broadcasting Network, the Guyana National Broadcasting Authority, GNBA, on Friday, March 1, 2019, presented the letter of approval to the Secretary of the Trust Company of the station. Reporting from Riverside Drive, Watuka, Region 10, with videographer Kenyan Bacchus, Rebecca Ganesh, InfoHub.
Leticia Isaacs reported that the issue of youth employment was addressed with an eye on ensuring the young people of Linden have several options available to them.
The government of Guyana continues to reiterate its support and commitment to youth development and youth employment as the government comes to you outreach continues in Region 10. One youth who heard about the opportunities available at the outreach said he was elated with the service in which he was provided.
Very nice because a lot of youth is out of job right now as I speak. People want work to do, so it's very nice that the government noticed us, that we want a job for us and look out for we. It's very nice. I like them. I like what they're doing because I heard it's an opportunity for me. So I decided to use it because opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
The Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency is still in the business of providing jobs and opportunities for youth.
What we also do to assist is workshops on World of Work, prepare you interview techniques, work ethics, and also we have Labor Department, we have Safety and Health Department come together and we go through those things with job seekers so that they can have a clear idea of what is expected when they go to interview sessions.
Region 10 youth are slated to benefit from a host of educational and other opportunities, as explained by Deputy Director of Youth.
Currently, the Department of Youth, we have a number of activities that are currently ongoing for young people in Region 10. One such activity is the renewable energy that is scheduled to start from the 3rd of June. We have the data operation skill training, which we are collaborating with the Linden Technical Institute for Young People of Linden.
From Wismar in Linden, Region 10, with videographer Anil Silal, I'm Leticia Isaacs for InfoHub.
Hundreds of workers braved the inclement weather on May Day, celebrated on May 1, and gathered at the parade ground to march through the streets of Georgetown in support of their unions. Many reflected on the challenges their forefathers faced for the advancement of all workers.
Labor Day or May Day. This is the day dedicated to the social and economic achievements of workers.
I'm here to support the worker. This means a lot to me because I believe without the worker you cannot execute, you can't do your daily duties. So I want to give thanks and praise for the workers and ask God to give them that good health and strength.
It signals the importance of workers coming out to indicate to their employers that we are a force and we are large in numbers, and we also ensure that the wheels of the economy, wheels of society keep turning.
We remember the struggles of the workers for different benefits, and so what we do is celebrate today and remember the work of those who struggle for the benefits we now realize and we now can enjoy.
I would want to see much more union represented workers outside, much more leaders outside walking in the parade because it represents all workers of Guyana.
During the Labor Day March, InfoHub caught up with Ministers Scott and Ferguson on the road.
My representation is just to show my support or to give my support to the workers. In order for development to continue, you have to depend on the labor force. So labor is very important, not only to the ministry of which I'm assigned to, but to the entire nation, because without the people, the skilled people doing the work, then we would not be able to see development.
Our job is to make sure that the good life is spread not only to the rest of the population, but more particularly to the workers of this country. Today celebrates all the efforts of the past. It gives honor to the heroes that walked before those that are walking today, men like Critchlow and Andrew Jackson and the Cambridges and Lincoln, the Lewises and so on. So today is a very special day for workers. They have spent years of struggle, and today they are much better off than they were before.
Achievements and successes recorded by the coalition government since taking office in support of workers in Ghana include an increase in minimum wage by over 50%, the income tax threshold by a minimum 20%, and the reduction in the marginal income tax rate to 28%. Other successes include an increase in old age pension and public assistance. In Guyana, Hubert Nathaniel Critchlow is noted as the founder of the modern-day trade union movement. For InfoHub, Felicia Valenzuela.
The oath of office is not a ceremonial ritual. It represents a solemn promise. Those were the words of President David Granger as the newly appointed and reassigned ministers of government were sworn in on Thursday.
The swearing-in ceremony was held in the Credentials Room at the Ministry of the Presidency, where President Granger explained that the Constitution of Guyana empowers the President to appoint ministers from among persons who are elected members of the National Assembly or are qualified to be elected as such members.
The oath of office is not a ceremonial ritual. It represents a solemn promise and creates three principal obligations. I urge them all to obey faithfully the oath of office. The Guyanese nation can be assured and can continue to look forward to the smooth functioning of their government as a result of these changes.
InfoHub spoke with the newly appointed ministers to garner their thoughts as it relates to the execution of their duties. Dr. Karen Cummins, newly appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs.
I know it's a lot of hard work, but I'm prepared for the task, and I hope to serve in this new office with distinction. My first assignment, and I hope to see him there, because I still think that he can be my coach. It's a new area, and so I look forward to working with him and to hear from his head all the what he has gone through, to share some of those information with me.
Minister of Business Hemraj Rajkumar explained that he was given a debrief of his new office on Monday last.
Since Monday, I was at the office and I started to get acquainted with the different agencies. It's very challenging. I found it in a few hours. Ministry of Business is very challenging. We have a lot to offer to the people of Guyana, especially the business sector.
Tabitha Sarabo-Haley, Minister of Public Service.
Based on the outreaches, and before I became minister, I was working with the former Minister of State, and some issues came to him as it relates to public service, which I think I should would be the top of my agenda. Those include benefits. A lot of persons sent letters inquiring about benefits that they believe were duly owed to them.
Dawn Hastings Williams has been sworn in as Minister of State, while Simone Brooms is now Minister of Youth Affairs within the Ministry of the Presidency. Minister Annette Ferguson is now the new minister within the Ministry of Communities with responsibility for housing, while Minister Valerie Adams-Yearwood is now the minister within the Ministry of Agriculture with responsibility for rural affairs. Rebecca Ganesh, InfoHub.
With the submission of its first Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative (EITI) report to the International Secretariat in April 25, government is satisfied with the progress made thus far.
Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman said the report was published in compliance with the EITI standards.
The report, which was published in conformity with the EITI standards, which most of you now have, goes beyond the mere reconciliation of payments and receipts to include contextual information.
He noted that the report points to the way forward for better management through greater transparency in the extractive sector.
Particularly, it points the way for an improved investment climate. It helps us to assist in strengthening licensing, record keeping, and tax collection systems and legal and fiscal frameworks. And also, it will help us to improve reforms and governance, as well as promoting greater economic and political stability.
The Natural Resources Minister reiterated government's commitment to openness and transparency, noting its satisfaction with the progress made thus far. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
The Ministry of Education says it has taken note of an article published in the Wednesday, May 1, 2019 edition of the Kaitro News. The headline was captioned, $100 million spent to upgrade national printers, yet Education Minister bypasses local printeries to sole source from Trinidad and Tobago. The ministry has clarified that the printing of exercise books and textbooks produced locally is contracted to the Guyana National Printers Limited, which is a state-owned entity located at 1 Public Road, La Penitence, Georgetown, Guyana. The Education Ministry also made it clear that it has no arrangement for the printing of local text and exercise books with any other company, as it inferred in the article. The full release from the ministry can be viewed on our website and social media platforms. Still on education, as the Ministry of Education continues its efforts to ensure that all learners receive the best delivery of education, Region 8 is slated to receive more trained teachers.
All 30 schools in the Patara-Siperuni Region 8 will continue to receive trained teachers. According to Region 8 Education Officer Clifton David, the teachers will hail from the region and are being trained through the Sirapata College of Education, CPCE, in Turkine Region 4.
We currently have 38 participants or teachers in training in Sub-Region 1, completing what we refer to as the upgrading program. And we have 11 trainee teachers who would have completed, in fact, who would have commenced the Trained Teacher Certificate Program in Sub-Region 2 at the Madia Center.
The program is comparable to the quality content being taught on the coast. Students will benefit tremendously from this initiative as the training content is specifically tailored for their learning environment. From Madia Region 8 with senior videographer Tejpaul Brijmahan, I am Natisha Isaacs for InfoHub.
Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon, on Thursday hosted a post-cabinet media conference where a number of important matters were addressed. Here now is our post-cabinet roundup.
Cabinet welcomed the new ministerial appointments when it met on April 30 at Watuka House in Linden, Region 10. Newly appointed Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon.
The new ministers were the Honorable Dr. Karen Cummins as Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Hebraj Rajkumar, Minister of Business, Honorable Tabitha Sarabo-Haley, Minister within the Ministry of the Presidency with responsibility for public service, Honorable Dawn Hastings Williams, the Minister of State within the Ministry of the Presidency. The reassigned ministers were the Honorable Annette Ferguson. She will be in the Ministry of Communities with responsibility for housing development. The Honorable Valerie Patterson Yearwood, Minister within the Ministry of Agriculture with responsibility for rural affairs. And the Honorable Simona Charles Brooms, Minister within the Ministry of the Presidency with responsibility for youth affairs.
Cabinet was updated on the results of the Government Comes to You outreaches held in Regions 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. Similar outreaches are planned for Regions 2 and 7. The Engine Arrival Monument will be commissioned on May 5th.
Cabinet noted that His Excellency President David Granger will attend the commissioning ceremony in which representatives of the Indian government will also participate.
Boards of agencies under the Ministry of Social Protection serving for 1 year from May 1 have been appointed.
The Commission for the Family that will serve for a period of 1 year from March 1, 2019 is chaired by Mrs. Sandra Hooper and include 10 other commissioners. The Poor Law Commission, served for a period of 1 year, will be chaired by Dr. Holly Alexander and will include 8 other persons who will serve as commissioners.
Cabinet has also approved the appointment of 2 non-resident ambassadors to Guyana. They are David Commisong of Barbados and Sean Hoy of Ireland. Formal relations are also to be established with Côte d'Ivoire, formerly known as the Ivory Coast.
This followed discussions at the ministerial level between our two countries that led to the recognition that there were areas of mutual interest that warranted frequent diplomatic contact. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs was directed to conclude the arrangements that were required for the establishment of diplomatic relations as requested.
Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister Basil Williams SC will attend the 49th Working Group and Plenary of the CFATF in Trinidad from May 27 to 31.
These meetings will deal with important matters such as the report from the Working Group on Financial Action Task Force issues, the 29th Forum for Heads of Financial Intelligence Units, and the CFATF follow-up process of members' action plan.
DG Harman also reiterated the coalition government's stance on terrorism.
We have done very serious review of some of our laws to ensure that we send a very clear message, not only to foreign countries, but to persons within Guyana that are affected by the law, that any actions which run counter to the law will be dealt with in a very serious manner. So I believe that our credentials with respect to the way in which we deal with terrorism is very good and is very strong, and I think that many countries in this region have commended us for this strong, this strident manner in which we have dealt.
The government is prepared to abide by any decision made by the Caribbean Court of Justice come May 10 when it rules on the no-confidence case. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
Director of the Energy Department, Dr. Mark Bino, on Friday said the department is optimistic that a consultancy for the local content policy that will guide the oil and gas sector will be completed in June.
Even before the document is finalized, that draft will go out for consultations with the private sector and other stakeholders. I should say, however, that the private sector has asked, since we've had multiple consultations before, that this process not be lengthy, but we seek to condense it so that we can move towards finalization.
The Energy Director also announced approval of the Liza Phase 2 Field Development Plan by the Minister responsible for petroleum on Monday, April 29, 2019.
The development plan basically will utilize a development concept similar to the Liza Phase 1, where it will be utilizing subsea wells and a floating production, storage, and offloading vessel. It will produce up to 220,000 barrels of oil per day with a total of 6 drill centers planned, as well as approximately 30 wells, including 50 for production purposes, 9 water injection, and 6 gas injection wells. The Phase 2 startup is expected in mid-2022 and is projected to develop approximately 600 million barrels of oil. The FPSO, named the Liza Unity, will process, store, and offload oil to oil tankers for transport to market.
He noted that the approval is subject to a number of conditions and conformatory studies.
Newly appointed Minister of Public Service Tabitha Sarabo-Halley says Guyana needs its bright minds as it prepares to go places. The minister was addressing students, teachers, and parents at the Maize School Prayer Breakfast on Friday.
I would like to urge you that even if you go outside to study, to come back home. Right? Don't think that overseas and those countries outside have everything that you desire, because Guyana is going to go places, and we need bright minds like you sitting watching me to come and continue to develop our country.
The minister, who's an old student of the private education institution, also urged students preparing for the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate examinations to work steadfastly toward their intended goals.
You have to remain focused, understand that you have a purpose, and find what exactly your purpose is. And it doesn't happen overnight. It is not going to happen overnight, but once you remain focused, you are going to end up where you should end up.
Maize Secondary School hosted its annual prayer breakfast in the school's auditorium. The event is hosted to deliver words of encouragement and charges to students currently preparing to take the Caribbean Examination Council's May-June 2019 CSEC examinations. For InfoHub, Natisha Isaacs.
This has been InfoHub Recap. Remember to subscribe to our website for more stories and follow us on our social media platforms. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Goodbye.